race fans, and welcome to the Super Late Model Touring Series brought to you by American Sim Racing Club and Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action at 1080p 60 frames a second, if my internet should allow it. Um, we have quite the event planned for you tonight as we get ready to bring qualifying up in action. We're going to go and check. We're going to watch on, I should say, with Andrew Payne here in just a moment as he is sitting in. But at the moment, we get ready to go. We've got 8 laps in our heat races tonight, followed by an 80-lap feature event. In practice, we've seen cars hitting speeds of around about 130 miles an hour, as we can see Franklin Evans making his way around the circuit just at the moment. Bring that timing gap up for you so you can have a look and see how your favorite driver is doing tonight. We have 0 sets of additional tires, so they are one and done with tire sets tonight. They will not have a chance, even under caution, to get any fresh rubber put on their cars. Looks like I have a bit of an issue on the power, so I hope that gets resolved. Let's see. For some reason it doesn't. It's okay. What's going on, but nothing major. As we saw Swank and Rogers has just come down. I think any car is on track, or Sturgill and Charles Darling seem to be still. Software seems to be fighting me. I'm not entirely sure why. So we actually have Hayden Swank at the top there. There we go. He and Payne were mixed into one for reasons I can't explain. As we get set for our first race. And we are going to have Tellerico starting on pole. Lee Campbell in second position. David Payton in third. Eric Hahn in fourth. Franklin Evans in fifth. Ron Hart in sixth. And Hayden Swank seventh for our starting grid of the first heat race of the night. Now here in Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, this is where we are at tonight. I should have mentioned that a little bit earlier, but I'm mentioning it now. We have got a 0.6 mile track here tonight. Pit speed 35 miles per hour. And opened in 1904. So 118 years old, this track, almost 119. And it's hosted races every single year without fail. So that is pretty cool. When it opened in 1904, people were amazed at cars going over 60 miles an hour. Going to be going a little bit faster than that tonight as roll onto the grid. So our race starts to look like it's heading underway. As Tellerico looks like is going to be a no-show on the grid tonight, at least for this heat race. I think Tellerico had a similar issue last week, so unfortunate event for him. As or pace car, or pace truck, I should say, lights are out. No, Tellerico is being shown as 1 lap down, but I still don't have him. I count 6 cars, and so, yeah. There are 7 on the field, and only 6 are being shown, so Tellerico, I believe, will show for this one. But David Patton starting first, Eric Hahn, Franklin Evans, Ron Hart, Lee Campbell, and Hayden Swank are going to be your rows as they get ready to go under green. 8 laps in the feature, and there they go. David Payton with a huge jump, and not too far behind, but a little bit further back, Ron Hart and Franklin Evans going side by side. Evans falling back a little bit, Hayden Swank trying to go underneath, not quite able to do so, as Eric Hahn is trying desperately to keep Franklin Evans behind him just now. Looks like it's a very close race as Franklin Evans is trying very hard. We've got a battle for the lead already going on. They're getting side by side. That was very close indeed. David Payton and Ron Hart getting into each other a little bit there. Ron Hart really trying to send it underneath. As there's a car that goes up and over, that's Eric Hahn. Whoa! Thankfully, just having some trouble turning that super late model around. So we will go back and watch that replay of how that one unfolded. And it's a little bit of a checkup, and then just unfortunately too much speed, tags the wall. Swank comes in, gets lifted up on the barrier, lifted up on Swank, and just gets carried all the way to the inside wall. Bang. Nasty hit. Very lucky to not collect Lee Campbell in that as well, as he came off of the inside wall. And yeah, very unfortunate for Eric Hahn there. So that brings out our first caution of the night and our first caution in a heat race. Excuse me. So single file restarts are the name of the game, and we're going back under green as David Payton brings them back to green. Ron Hart just behind, Franklin Evans trying as well. Ron Hart with a jump to the outside, able to make it work, no problem at all. And there's a spin and collection. Oh boy. Clean up on Isle Nashville Fairgrounds. There are cars all over the place. It's like when someone spills Hot Wheels from a shelf. And Payton thought about coming down pit road, but did not make it down that one, or decided to stay out. Gonna ask myself for a replay here. That's already after yeah. That's going to start a little further up front. Yeah. Just a turn right there. Franklin Evans gets into the back of David Payton, and Lee Campbell nowhere to go as Payton comes back up the track. Just yeah. All right, trying out for the Blue Angels as they flip around. Back to the action as we're back under green already. Missing the start. Ron Hart under pressure from Hayden Swank right now. Franklin Evans just fallen back quite a bit after all the drama. Hayden Swank with the fastest lap of the race at the moment. An 18.13 over Ron Hart's 18.2 last time by, which was his fastest lap. These two fighting for the top spot of the heat race right now. A little bit further back, there is going to be some battle between David Payton and Lee Campbell, as well as Eric Hahn, who's managed to keep the car in a fairly straight line and in 4th position right now. So great on him, as Barney, the flagman, waves for one more to go in this heat race. Ron Hart setting the fastest lap right back after Hayden Swank set it a couple laps ago to keep Swank behind him, and Ron Hart is going to take the win in the heat race. Nice and demanding there from Ron Hart, making the outside lane work on the restart. Great show from all these drivers. Very, very action-packed indeed. As we get the grid readied up for our second heat race. It's going to be Brett Hahn, followed by Kenneth Farmer, Dante Pure, Charles Darling, Michael Sturgill Jr., Nick Fleury, and Andrew Payne to this sprint race, if I say so myself. He's got some very, very fast drivers in this one. Not to say the other one didn't. It definitely did. Looking forward to see how this one unfolds as cars go out and get ready doing pace lap. I prefer the tower over the ticker. Ticker at the top sometimes doesn't show you the entire proper field view, as Kenneth Farmer drops back behind the rest of the field. Brett Hahn has opted out of the heat race here tonight, so this will be another 6-car shootout, as Dante Hewer will actually be starting in the first position underneath Charles Darling on the high side, the 00 and the 88. Michael Sturgill Jr., Nick Fleury, 3rd and 4th, Andrew Payne and Kenneth Farmer going to be towards the rear. Now there are 18 degrees of banking. I genuinely think it looks more than that. Actually looks like quite a bit of banking, but I guess when you take into account 18 degrees is actually quite a lot. As they get underway, Dante Hewer getting a nice start, getting a big push by Michael Sturgill there. Dante trying on the high side. He's going to stick his nose in there. Oh, 3 wide. We hint at it. We're going for it. And that was never going to work at Nashville Fairgrounds. Caution is out. And Charles Darling goes round. I have to cue these replays thick and fast, as the caution laps do not last too long here at the Fairgrounds Raceway. See the 3-wide action happening there. Not the smartest idea. At such a small track, not much room. It just looked like Dante allowed for that extra room. Charles Darling did not expect them to go 3 wide, and just a little bit of a pile up there. Nothing major happening to any car except for the unfortunate events of Charles Darling's spin around. Thankfully, nothing major happening to any car, really, as we have the pace truck's lights off pretty quickly. Michael Sturgill Jr. is going to be leading right now. Nick Fleury, Andrew Payne just behind in 3rd. Kenneth Farmer, Charles Darling, and Dante Hewer is going to be top 6. As they get running for single file restarts here at Nashville Fairgrounds. Michael Sturgill choosing a nice time to restart. That looks like quite the jump there. It's a little bit away ahead. Nick Fleury and Andrew Payne just behind. Charles Darling trying to make something happen on the outside of Kenneth Farmer. Able to get it done. Almost gets collected by Kenneth Farmer. Farmer chucks on the brakes. Makes sure not to hit him. Great awareness from Kenneth Farmer there with Charles Darling on his high side. To Andrew Payne and Nick Fleury really going at it now. Andrew Payne trying to size up Nick Fleury. Nick is in full blocker mode as Andrew Payne looks to make the move, decides against it. 4 laps to go. Michael Sturgill Jr. put in the fastest lap of this heat race, which is identical to the fastest lap of our first heat race at an 18.11. Payne looks to the inside of Fleury now. Fleury's going to give him enough room on the bottom, and Andrew Payne is going to make that move work. Heading on into 1 and out of 2. Just gets a little bit side by side. Almost looks like the bodywork was trading Payne a little bit there, but both cars thankfully white, so no paint exchanged. If there is, it wasn't very easy to see which one was which. Michael Sturgill continues to lead the field with a handsome lead. Andrew Payne coming in second as Barney gets ready to wave the checkered. Michael Sturgill takes the victory. Andrew Payne in second, Nick Fleury in third. Charles Darling, Kenneth Farmer, and Dante Hewer went down into pit lane. And we're gonna get ready for our third heat race of the night. On the grid, Brian Wilderson in first, John DeMister in second, Nathan Henry in third, Devin McLeod in fourth, Zach Rush, Stephen Hoffman, and Tim Rogers in seventh. Looks like there's a little bit of a shuffle going on, so I'm sure these drivers will work out where they're meant to be. As it looks like right now, Nathan Henry is actually going to be in first, Devin McDonald, in second, Zach Rush in third, Stephen Hoffman in fourth, Tim Rogers in fifth, John DeMister in sixth, and there is going to be a 7-car grid this time as Brian Wilderson takes on your 7th place position. Thank you for tuning in, supporting the broadcast, supporting ASRC and Team Goon Squad. Couldn't do this without any of the fans at home, so we appreciate it. And this show that has been put on for us has been greatly appreciated by the folks at ASRC. They certainly know how to put on a race as we get ready for this heat race to be underway. Nathan Henry gets a huge jump. Devin McLeod left wondering what is happening as he takes down the inside line as well, just behind Stephen Hoffman, trying to get something doing. A little bit of a spray from the outside wall as Devin McDonald just barely tapped it. Way up the racetrack, I believe that was Zach Rush, just not quite finding the groove that he wanted. Devin McDonald falling behind as he's gone a little bit high. Stephen Hoffman underneath. Tim Rogers is also making that move. Oh, there's contact and there's a car on the side. Oh, that's a big bash. We stay green. I cannot believe it. As Nathan Henry continues to leave this field. Stephen Hoffman. Tim Rogers definitely involved in that with Devin McDonald. McDonald's all the way up on the side on 2-wheel, riding it around the track Herbie style, and somehow able to make it stick. As Tim Rogers continues to make his way around, you can see a little bit of damage there on that right side. Not seeming to hold him up too much. As the battle for the lead continues, Nathan Henry and Stephen Hoffman. Nice single-filed, relatively uneventful race at the moment. We've got a little bit of a race back here, though, as Devin McDonald and John DeMeester going side by side. Devin McDonald really struggling with, look at how damaged that Super Late model machine is. That Toyota-backed car struggling quite a lot at the moment. Nathan Henry, Stephen Hoffman still fighting for this lead, just a tiny bit, half a second actually, ahead of Tim Rogers. And Barney waves the white flag. Stephen Hoffman trying every line he can to try and catch Henry, but it looks like Henry's just going to have the speed over Hoffman. Hoffman with the lunge out of 4, not able to do it. 1, 2, 3. Nathan Henry, Stephen Hoffman, and Tim Rogers. And that was our third and final heat race of the night. So as we go into our 80-lap feature after this warm-up, it's going to be pretty intense. I get the feeling if we saw anything, if anything from those heat races has shown me, it is that we are not going to have too much of a break up here in the commentary booth. As it's really looking quite the grid here tonight. Very excited to see how it all pans out. The drivers get one final go around of this track just before the big event. Nice little 3-pack there. Andrew Payne, Hayden Swank, and I believe that's going to be Zach Rush as well. Not much room to move on this 0.6 of a mile oval. As we get ready . All right, in comes the grid and we are ready to bring them on down. Ron Hart is going to be your pole sitter. Michael Sturgill Jr. second alongside. Nathan Henry, Hayden Swank in third and fourth. Andrew Payne, Stephen Hoffman in your third row. Franklin Evans, Nick Fleury in your fourth row. Tim Rogers, Eric Hahn in your fifth row. Charles Darling, Zach Rush in sixth row. Cycling it on back, David Payton and Kenneth Farmer in your seventh row. Brian Wilderson and Campbell, eighth row. Dante Hewer, Devin McLeod in your ninth row. Tanner Tallarico, Brett Hahn in your 10th row. And bringing up the rear, John DeMister in 21st position. It's Lonesome on the 11th row of the grid. Quite a large turnout for such a small course. And that's an interesting starting idea. It's one of the cars pull out of the grid, potentially got some sort of issue or some sort of penalty forming there. That looks like that's going to be... That was... What was that? was Hayden Swank, was it? No, Swank is there. That's Franklin Evans. He's dropping back and allowing the field to go by. As we get ready to go underway. And they're off. Ron Hart gets a huge jump, nice and quick. Michael Sturgill Jr. left following. Nathan Henry falls in suit. All of the drivers following single file already. Charles Darling jumping out a little bit. He's going to break the ice here, going underneath Eric Hahn. Hahn's going to find himself under fire from Zach Rush. Patton as well. As Rush falls back, just being stuck on the outside. Wilderson going underneath Rush as well. Kenneth Farmer also trying to follow his way through. As it is single file for most of the field, just a little bit further up. That's Andrew Payne, stuck on the high side, able to get back down. Underneath Charles Darling there. Charles Darling just behind. Single file, single file, single file is the name of the game at the moment. Let's see if we can find Kenneth Farmer. Looks like he's trying something underneath Zach Rush a little bit further back. This is for the 12th position. And looking like 3 wide just behind as well. Pretty hectic, just a little bit deeper here in the field. Zach Rush still on that high side. Not able to get anything done, just falling quite a long ways back. And we have a caution that's come out for Eric Hahn. We are showing Eric Hahn in a crash report. Just gets a little bit loose on corner exit and just goes for a wild ride. Hits the wall. Nothing major, no other cars involved. Oh, a little bit careful on the re-entry. As we cycle it on back, get this one underway again. Alright, so at the moment, Ron Hart's still your race leader. Michael Sturgill Jr. following in 2nd position. Nathan Henry in 3rd. Stephen Hoffman in 4th. Nick Fleury and Tim Rogers will be in 5th and 6th. Remember, we do have single file restarts. So that is why you will see this field strung out quite a ways back, potentially all the way through turn 4 and turn 3. As our timing and scoring software is having a little bit of a problem keeping up with us, but that's okay. The pace truck lights are out, so Ron Hart, I'm sure, is going to get quite the jump as he wants to get going as quick as possible. Maybe just delay it a little bit closer. So everyone thought he was going to go quicker than he actually did, but no. Michael Sturgill Jr. just fell a little bit further back. Ron Hart decided that was time to go. Nathan Henry under fire from Stephen Hoffman, not too far behind. Single file all the way. Stephen Hoffman very closely followed by Nick Fleury there. Nick Fleury deciding on a slightly different line. Not sure that worked out as well for him as he would have wanted, as it looked like he dropped a small amount of pace to Stephen Hoffman just in front. Stephen Hoffman trying to dive under the underside of Nathan Henry now. We haven't seen that top line work very well at all, as Hoffman tries to get it done and does so. Nick Fleury also following through. A little bit of a spray from slapping the wall. And Nathan Henry falling back. And that's got to be the big thing, is you get stuck on the high side and you can't find your way back down. These drivers will punish you from being stuck up there, and they will continue to hold you up there for as long as they can. Andrew Payne now making his way underneath Nathan Henry. Charles Darling going to keep him up there as well. There is a little bit of a gap behind Charles Darling at the moment. David Payton is right there though, not wanting to give that one up. We've got a little bit of a interesting battle going on a little bit further back. 12th place, Devin McDonald and Kenneth Farmer side by side. Just behind, Franklin Evans stalking as well, as Evans makes his way past Farmer. Nathan Henry just continuing to fall back, will get back in line just behind Payton. So Henry fell from second all the way down to 9th, just proving the point once again that you do not want to stay in that high side. It will not work out for you, as he does have a bit of a second gap behind him, so he will be able to keep that position. The top 9 separated from the rest of the field, as it continues to look like everyone is just staying on their lane, keeping their pace. As Sturgill Jr. trying to find some way to catch up to Ron Hart, but Ron Hart just seems to have found his groove and is definitely sticking to it. As the closest battle on track at the moment, Franklin Evans making his way underneath Devin McLeod. Franklin Evans been working his way back to the front since letting people go by before the grid. Just behind Zach Rush now in the 12th position, opening the door a little bit for Devin McDonald, but not quite enough for McDonald to try and fight back. As quite heavy on the brakes, I saw the rotors glow quite a lot just there. Zach Rush continues to hold a very low line, not letting Devin McLeod get underneath him. This 5-car battle here, Wilderson, Rush, Evans, McDonald, Hahn, all so close together, as that almost looked like a little bit of a hip and shoulder as we go 3 wide down the back straight. We hint at it. Don't think it was actually done. Zach Rush able to keep it underneath him as they almost get into each other. Zach Rush, Devin McDonald just behind. Brett Hahn wanted to get involved. It is a bit of a mess back here. Zach Rush goes round. And Scarpa. But Thankfully avoiding every driver. No one getting caught up in that one, and once again, just a car going around on its lonesome. Nothing doing. We saw that in real time. Gonna have a look at it once again though. Zach Rush just on the high side, trying to get as much power down as possible to keep that position. And unfortunately just loses the back end. Thankfully only just very minorly touching that outside wall. Yep, there it is, just that faintest of touches. And good observation there from everyone coming out of turn 4 to avoid that car parked right there on the racing line. So we will get them stacked up and ready to roll once again. Ron Hart still in first position. Michael Sturgill Jr. in second. Stephen Hoffman third. Fleury in fourth. Rogers in fifth. As we will continue with our single file restarts. So if you wanted action tonight, I'm glad to provide it for you, because there seems to be quite a lot happening in this race. A lot of tight close racing. Ron Hart really going for it. The slingshot effect from the top high side to the low side. As much of a jump as he can on Michael Sturgill Jr. And following single file quite closely, every single driver, unsurprisingly, as they did start single file. Oh, hello. I saw that. Franklin, whoa! I didn't see that. Yeah, that definitely threw me off a little bit. Okay. So, sadly enough, we do not have our timing software as showing what just happened, funnily enough. That is Zach Rush, that is the wrong driver. Alright, well. Saw it unfold, absolute calamity. As Franklin Evans was definitely involved in the midst of all of that. Ryan Wilson down pit road, Brett Hahn down pit road. Don DeMister is just coming out of pit road. So we were just talking about action. There's your action. So these drivers are just absolutely sending it. Very little margin for error. You're in Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Hart getting the jump that he definitely wants. As Sturgill Jr., Hoffman, Fleury, Rogers, and Payne follows in quick pursuit. Charles Darling as well. Teeny bit of a gap behind Charles Darling to David Payton. Very, very small, teeny gap. just forming. Not quite half a second. Between the 7th and 8th place driver. Whoa, Franklin Evans, wall riding. As we mentioned earlier, Herbie fully loaded. And also Cars 3, but they just copied Herbie, so it's not as not as insane. Not as memorable either. Ron Hart, Sturgill Jr. just tapping the wall. A lot of cars tapping the wall. Stephen Hoffman getting all out of whack. Nick Fleury following as well. Tim Rogers trying the outside lane on Andrew Payne. That rhymed better than I thought it would. That's why I slowed down. As Tim Rogers trying to make that outside lane work. Not sure it is going to. Seen a lot of drivers struggle. And gets dialed in, just barely cutting off the nose of Charles Darling. Oh, Hayden Swank goes for a little bit of a brush with the wall. Devin McDonald trying to take away the spot from that. Battle for 10th. Super late model machines, so squirrely. Constantly got to twitch left and right to keep them pointed in the right direction. Hayden Swank is able to get away from Devin McDonald now. Franklin Evans trying to put some fire on. Franklin Evans, one of those drivers we've seen having a few issues here tonight. A little bit of damage, but certainly not slowing him down as he continues to make his way around the track. Biggest mover of the race so far, right in front. Devin McDonald up 7 spots. Almost at the halfway mark of this race. From 18th into the 11th position. As we go back up front, it's continuing to be the Ron Hart show. Sturgill Jr. much closer now than he was just before, though. These top few drivers very, very close, all under a blanket it seems. The top 5, very, very close indeed. Less than a second separating all 5 of the cars. Hart, Sturgill, Hoffman, Fleury and Payne. All very, very close together. And Ron Hart doing what Ron Hart does and seeming to find some more pace somehow. Sturgill Jr. not letting him go. But a little bit further back, we're hinting at potential too wide there. Looked like Charles Darling was thinking about doing something. Nothing working out for him though. As you can see, Stephen Hoffman getting very, very close to that outside wall there. Nick Fleury just behind, putting a lot of pressure on the 86 machine. Got a side-by-side battle all the way back in 15th position. Kenneth Farmer making his way, or just losing the position of 14th place to Dante Hewer on the inside line. And there's a caution coming out. We saw Franklin Evans dropping like a fly down the standings. And that looks very interesting indeed. Up. Another self-spin. And Franklin Evans is deciding that that's enough of that and has towed down to pit road, bringing out the caution. So halfway in this race, fourth caution of the night, 41 laps complete of 80. And it has been action-filled for sure. As we go under green already, that was very quick. Ron Hart taking the green flag with no problem at all. Michael Sturgill Jr. trying to catch up to him, back at it again. Stephen Hoffman, Nick Fleury, Andrew Payne. Your top 5. Andrew Payne has worked his way through the field quite decisively from what I have been able to witness. As Nick Fleury is going to present a big challenge to him though, as Fleury, no stranger to defending his position. Fleury, one of those drivers able to handle pressure better than most, I'd say, on track. Payne thought about diving it in, maybe waiting for another opportunity. As he continues to stick his nose just a little bit lower than Fleury, heading onto the inside of the corner, indicating he wants to make that move as quick as he can. As that looks like the run that might present itself. Not quite. As these top 5 cars still all sitting, well, Payne and Fleury have fallen back a little bit to about a second behind Ron Hart at the moment, but still very, very close together. Ron Hart continues to lead. Ron Hart has some traffic in Rush. Rush is going to give way as the leaders come by. Great awareness from Zach Rush there. As there's a slight gap forming between Sturgill Jr. and Stephen Hoffman for the second and third spot. Andrew Payne's going for the move. Nick Fleury has left the door open and cuts back down. Very surprising there. Just got a much nicer exit. But Payne's going to try it again. To the inside of 3. Slow the car down, rotate, get on the gas. And is able to stay side by side. Huge advantage heading into turns 1 and 2. But not able to get it done. Not yet, as Fleury continues to show what we've grown to love about Nick Fleury, and he's just able to hold those cars that try to pass him. He's able to make it difficult, make his car as wide as possible. So it looks like he might fire back as Andrew Payne took the spot away. Unfortunately, not able to do so, so Fleury will fall back into 5th, Andrew Payne up to 4th. And Hoffman riding very high in the corner, trying to cut the exit, get as much of a run as possible. Try and close that gap to Michael Sturgill Jr. in the 2nd position. Someone has told these drivers that there's no word that starts with chill, because these drivers have thrown it and sent it all throughout this race. Andrew Payne looking to make the move on Hoffman now. Not able to get it done as Hoffman has that little bit of a wider entry, so it'll allow Andrew Payne to really dive it in deep, but not get the exit, as Hoffman is going to keep him at bay. Hoffman ruined his entry there as Andrew Payne tries it again. Almost, not quite. Hoffman shuts the door. Payne still on the back bumper of Stephen Hoffman. Ron Hart up front looking like he's going to have some lap traffic to deal with just in front as well. It's going to be John DeMister. Payne looking to make the move on Hoffman. Gets it down onto the inside line. Hoffman's going to have the better run. Hoffman gets a little bit loose. They touch. Nothing much doing though. Lap traffic stays high. Fleury gets around Hoffman as well, as Hoffman gets caught stuck on the high side. Hoffman, that almost looked like might have got turned around by Tim Rogers as lap traffic came into play there. Thankfully not, as there it is. Just as we were saying it, Charles Darling gets thrown for a ride. And that'll bring out our 5th caution of the night. Just nowhere to go. Lap traffic in front. Oh, actually looked like tagged the outside wall a little bit. Little bit of net code there, but Swank still getting involved as well, and unfortunately does a nice pirouette. Give him a 10 out of 10. Ballerina scores. Beautiful. Charles Darling knows what he is doing as he gets that car spun around and pointed the right direction once again. Not hitting any wall though. Very surprising considering how close they are on both sides of the track. Those truck lights are out. We'll get it ready to go once again. We've got Hart, Sturgill, Payne, Fleury, Hoffman, your top 5. "19 laps to go." Staying as high as possible, almost getting turned there by Sturgill. Ron Hart. Sturgill not happy with the way that Ron Hart is starting the restarts. Works out for him either way as Ron Hart continues to lead this race. Sturgill just behind Andrew Payne, up into the 3rd position now. Going to give Sturgill and Hart a run for their money up at the front here. Swank looked like he was going to make a move on Rogers. Nothing doing though, falls back in line. Andrew Payne has made the move on Sturgill and gets it done. Fleury tries to follow him through. Fleury does, but then Sturgill fires back on the high side. Firing back on the high side, Sturgill tries to stay around in front of Stephen Hoffman for the third spot. Sorry, not Hoffman. Hoffman's in just behind these two. Nick Fleury, sorry. So Fleury's going to make that move. Hayden Swank goes around Tim Rogers just behind as well. Tim Rogers up high. Really cannot afford to allow any car underneath you as Sturgill finally is able to get back in line behind Fleury. So Sturgill down to 4th from 2nd. Rogers still stuck on the high side above Swank, fighting for the 6th position. "13 laps to go. We're coming towards the real pointy end of this race. As Rogers still struggling on the high side, Peyton just underneath. Still going to be side by side. You can see getting stuck on the high side, Tim Rogers really struggling there. Nathan Henry trying to force him to stay high. Nathan Henry gets spun. McDonald gets caught into Farmer. Oh! It's a mess. I think that was Farmer. Not sure. Someone is smoking. So we'll go and have a look at that one. So Henry just underneath the 48 machine gets checked up a little bit. The 18 comes in. The 18 of Devin McLeod is just going to end up spinning him a little bit. Tries to correct it. Comes back out on track right in the path of Brett Hahn, sorry, that is. And Hahn just gets sent into the outer barrier. Doing its job protecting, though, as the 27 comes in and just pile drives the 19. Nowhere to go. Thankfully freeing up the track for everyone else coming through, though. So valuable council service coming in from Lee Campbell in the 27 machine. As surprisingly not much damage on the front of the 27 of Lee Campbell. Or at least it doesn't look like it. We go back up front. We get ready for a 10-lap shootout. It's going to be Hart, Payne, Fleury, Sturgill, Hoffman, your top 5. So we're about to get underway again. The pace truck lights are out. Number 51 machine, we've grown used to seeing Hart up front, has been there the entire race. Tries a different strategy to start and seemed to work out pretty well as he gets a nice gap in front of Payne. Fleury not too far behind. Sturgill not too far behind. Swank very close on the back of Stephen Hoffman back there for 5th place. There's Andrew Payne all over the back bumper of Ron Hart at the moment. It's getting to be a heated battle as we've got 7 to go. Payne gives him a shove and around he goes. It's carnage. Absolute carnage. Oh. Gee! As the caution comes out once again. Hart defending hard. Payne trying to send it in. Little bit of a gap. Payne not as far down as he wanted to be. Spins Hart around. Tries to dive to the inside to avoid him. Hart coming down the racetrack. Centrifugal force not working in their favor. Payne gets shunted back up to the field. Thankfully just misses Hoffman, but gets right in the path of everyone else. Thankfully not too much of a shunt there by the 18 machine. Just a little knock by Devin McLeod, and nothing major happening as the 59 comes barreling in and gets absorbed by the 18 machine there. Kenneth Farmer. As Nick Fleury is going to be your race leader at the moment. So it has all shaken up and worked out in Fleury's favor. Sturgill in the second position. Hoffman in the third spot. Swank and Payton in fourth and fifth. As we get ready for our single file restart again with 6 to go. So apologies for that one. Chose the wrong cameraman. As there has been action throughout the entirety of this field, as Fleury, no stranger to being near the front and fending off a lot of runs. So looking in a good spot for him as he gets a great run of the exit of 4. Sturgill still trying to follow in that second position where he's been all day. I'm sure he's wanted to see the limelight for a little while now, so might be patience running a little bit thin. Fleury's going to have to watch out for that. A little bit further back, Hoffman under fire here from Swank. Swank goes to the inside, trying to force the move. Hoffman not having it happen. Hoffman compromises his exit to really shallow up that entry. Able to keep Swank behind him though. As we head to 4 laps to go. Fleury still out front. Sturgill Jr. not far behind. Hoffman under fire from Swank from the third position. Single file most of the way through. Brett Hahn just losing a spot there to Devin McLeod. Brett Hahn's machine in bad shape a little bit further back. Andrew Payne just behind. That's for the 13th spot. As Andrew almost spins Brett Hahn. Coming out of the corner there out of 2. Nick Fleury out of 4 coming into the final lap. I believe we've got 2 more laps, sorry. Excuse me for that one. Michael Sturgill just behind, still trying to trail and catch up to Nick Fleury. Stephen Hoffman holding on to that third spot, does not want Swank to get past. Barney waves the white flag. Nick Fleury with a commanding lead just over Sturgill, who's got his own gap to deal with. Hoffman has got it all to do in the final 2 corners. Trying to keep Swank in check, able to do so. It's going to be Fleury, Sturgill, and Hoffman. 1, 2, 3. Fantastic racing from all the drivers. As some of the drivers congratulating Fleury there. Great to see the sportsmanship. As Fleury does a nice celebration there. You can see that is how it shook up towards the end of that race. Nick Fleury in first position. Sturgill Jr. in second. Hoffman in third. Swank and Payton, your top 5. Cycling on back see all the drivers there. Hoffman looks to celebrate with Swank there. Nice to see the guys getting along super well as we queue up. Now, first of the drivers, it's going to be Stephen Hoffman. Try and Hoffman to the booth. Hoffman, you got a copy?
Yeah, you got me.
Yes, I do. Well, that was a fantastic race from everyone. Um, let us let us in onto how you felt, especially on the last restart, because that looked absolutely hectic out there.
Yeah, I seen Hayden had moved up from the tail, and he's pretty quick. He won last week, so I knew I'd have to be good on the restart, and I got him. But he beat me in the one just a little bit, and he gave me a nudge, and I was able to hang on to it and just focused on getting out quicker of the corners than he did, and it worked out for us.
All right, so we saw you sort of hiding behind, I don't know about hiding, but definitely following behind Nick Fleury there at the end of the race. Fill us in on that one. Are you guys running in the same team? You're just good friends? How's that one sort of work out?
No, I don't. I think Nick's been around for a while. This is my second race with these guys, but I've ran Nick on the recruitment races, and he's pretty clean, so and he's fast, and we're close around the same lap times. So I knew if I could follow him, come 5 to go, it'd be a lot closer and a good chance to get up front.
All right. Well, we saw you sort of around about the third to fifth position most of the race. Was the key to that race or holding that position really staying on that low side? We saw a lot of cars struggling once they got stuck up high. They were staying there until about eight, nine cars got past them.
Yeah, Ron led most of the race, and I can't remember who was in second, but I just tried to keep pace with them, not burning your tires up. And Ron was doing really good there. And then Andrew and him had that accident, kind of sucked for those two. I knew if I was in third and I could keep pace with the leaders and watch out who was behind me, it would, at the end, I might have a good go for it. And I guess we had a third place car. I think we ran 70 out of those 80 laps in third. So I'm happy with it to keep up with these guys.
All right, sounds good, Stephen. We will catch you in the booth, I'm sure, in not too long a time. Who would you like to give a shout out for this third place position?
Well, just everybody on the car, and then all friends and family, and everybody helps out.
All right, sounds good. We will, as I said, we will catch you up here shortly. If it's only your second race, I can see you going places very high in the near future. So we will see you then, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you much.
All right, that was Stephen Hoffman, your third place position. Coming home in second, Michael Sturgill. There we go. Sturgill, you got a copy.
Yeah, I got you.
Well, Michael, unfortunate race for you, I guess, in terms of seeing the rear bumper of almost everyone in front of you, but able to keep it in second for the majority of the race. That's still nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, early on I was just trying to save tires, and then after, I don't know, one of the cautions, Hoffman behind me was really pushing it, so I was pushing it, and I think I just killed my stuff trying to defend second, and then there's a little bit where I got a run on Ron and tried to get past him. I think that just killed my tires. I knew when Andrew and Nick got up to me, they had better tires, so I let them go, fight Ron, and then the wreck happened, and we kind of got through it. So I guess it worked out.
Yeah, now take me through the process of really staying in second for as long as you did, because you had quite a lot of cars around you, but you had the pace definitely to follow up on Ron Hart, sorry, before he had that unfortunate accident. So just take us through, what does it really take to be fast around here consistently?
There's a line you want to run, and it's like half a lane up from the bottom, getting into the corner, and then you kind of diamond it down and out of the corner. And as long as you baby it a little bit. Just make sure not to spin the rear tires on exit. You can usually save, but yeah, once I had pressure on me, and I should have just let him go, but I was trying to keep second, and I think that's what ultimately killed the tires.
All right. Do you reckon that in the future a extra set of tires would have made a big difference if the race was probably a little bit longer, or if you could have just come down one of these cautions? Do you reckon tires would have made a huge difference to you performing a little bit better?
I would have probably ran the beginning of the race a little more aggressive if I had a set, but I'm always a fan of no sets or not very many, if that. So don't mind that we didn't have a set of tires. I should have just done a better job managing them.
All right. Well, Michael, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Who would you like to give a shout out for this second place finish, and very demanding second place finish, might I add, because as I said, you stayed there for most of the race, and just unfortunate you weren't able to get that one extra spot. But who would you like to give a shout out to for the second place finish?
Shout out to all the admins that put this league together and run these things. Shout out to you for broadcasting them. Everyone watching, which includes my girlfriend and my dad. I think that's got it.
All right. Well, as I said, fantastic talking to you. Thank you for turning up and racing, and I'm sure we'll see you here next week.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, that was Michael Sturgill bringing it home in second position. Now, the man, the myth, the legend, Nick Fleury. I have to bring him up in the booth with me. Good evening, Nick.
Hello.
Now, um, let's just put this, I guess, the easiest way possible. How are you able to? I saw this last week as well. How are you able to continuously leave the pack behind stalled there effectively? Like, I'm wording this in a really bad way, but essentially, I've never seen anyone block as well as you do without feeling the pressure and making a few mistakes here and there. Are you just mentally tough, or how does that kind of
Yeah,
work?
yeah, it's all a mental strength thing. You just kind of you have a car behind you and you see it in the rear view mirror, but you just block that out. You just drive, okay, that guy's not there. Don't even think about him. But it's tricky because you do have to find that balance. As soon as that spotter says he's there, then you better react quick.
Yeah, because we saw especially a moment with you and Andrew Payne. He was very close to your bumper, but you refused to yield until he was 100% below you. And you seem to have this knack for knowing just how, like, just where that moment is of them being alongside, so you have to give the without causing any major incident.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the reason we all do this is to race and to race close and to have fun racing. And so when you master that car awareness and you get good at that, that's going to allow you to have a lot of fun racing other guys. But we're not all perfect, and once in a while you might get into someone like I did get into Steven once and got him a little loose and tried to let him gather it up. But for the most part, you just gotta drive like no one's there until they are.
All right. Yeah, that sounds about right. I would say so. Now, clue us in on this. We just asked, who did we ask? We asked Sturgill Jr. just before. Would you prefer to see a tire swap in this race, or were you happy to have just the one tire compound underneath?
That's an interesting question. Ultimately, I think I like just having one tire, because when there's two tires, well, then it just kind of turns into a game of, well, who can stay out the longest and get lucky with the caution or something like that. So I definitely like it when there's only one tire. If the race was a little bit longer, say it was 160 laps, double, then it's good to have tires.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not denying that at all. So, but once again, fantastic win. Great job. You deserve all the champagne heading your way, I'm sure. Who would you like to give a shout out to for this win here tonight at Nashville Fairgrounds?
Yeah, first off, my Lord and Savior, obviously. Without him, none of this is possible. Next, I got to thank the wife. She's very good to me. I've also got to thank my sponsors, Django Home Improvement, CPM Incorporated, and Mike's Garage. My team has really been giving me good race cars lately. We actually went down south and won the Snowball Derby a couple weekends ago, thanks to them with a really great setup. And then finally, I got to thank my teammates, Brett and Dave. We have a really good time all working together and strategizing, and I couldn't do it all without them.
All right, fantastic. Great racing driver, very humble man. Nick Fleury, fantastic talking to you, and I'm sure we'll see you in the near future because you have the speed and pace, my friend.
Thank you very much. Thanks for all you do.
All right, that was Nick Fleury. So once again, we'll show you the results, and thank you very much for tuning in to the race tonight. It has been my absolute pleasure. I am Gareth McAllister, bringing you the race here from the Super Late Model Touring Series with American Sim Racing Club, ASRC, and Team Goon Squad. We'd like to thank everyone for tuning in and supporting us throughout all of these events, and we will be here next week 100%. Don't worry about that at all. Make sure you catch it for next week's race, and we will see you then. Have a good night, everyone.